This week on Anyplace Wild, co-host Annie Getchell and I set out in traditional small boats for the most isolated islands on the Maine coast. It's high adventure today, but a fact of life for the fishermen and sailors who lived out here. Join us as we discover islands in time.
Anyplace Wild is made possible in part by Chevy Blazer. Next time you're having fun outdoors, make sure that Mother Nature has a good day too. And by Low Alpine, technical packs and apparel. And Low Pro camera bags. And LL Bean, providing sporting gear and apparel for people who love the outdoors. For over 80 years.
Just like early adventurers who couldn't resist the tug of what lay on the horizon, Annie and I are headed for Matinicus Rock, barely a smudge in the distance no matter where you stop in mid-coast Maine. The Gulf of Maine holds thousands of rocky islands, none so remote as our destination. From the little fishing village of Spruce Head, there are 17 miles of open ocean to cross. Yet people have lived and worked out here for centuries, long before the advent of airplanes and powerboats. The lifeline to these offshore outposts were small rowboats and sailboats, like the ones we'll be using.
Not many people today can identify with this traditional mode of travel.
For my captain?
Thank you, Annie.
But hardly a day goes by when you can't find Susan and Sam Manning at the oars, looking like something straight out of a Winslow Homer painting. We'll row and sail two classic down east working boats, Susan's Peapod and Sam's Dory. We're out to retrace a regular commute for those hardy souls who braved wind, waves, tides, and fog. Just business as usual for islanders.
Sam's boat is called a Banks Dory, originally designed for fishing from schooners off the Grand Banks. A favorite style of coastal fishermen, these boats are cheap to build, seaworthy, and able to haul tons of cargo. Sam built his dory himself, so he knows every plank and fitting by heart.
Susan's boat is a traditional Maine peapod, named for its double-ended shape. It has a rounded, sleek hull that makes it faster to row than most dories. The Peapod's maneuverability meant it was ideal for lobster fishing along the rugged Maine coast, and its rough water capabilities made it the boat of choice for lighthouse keepers to reach their surf-battered stations.
John, that's Spruce Head Island that we're on our right-hand bow there. Grapham and Pleasant beyond. We're headed out beyond Two Bush, Green's Island, and Matinicus, in that order. We've got about 17 miles to go. This is a fun place. It's a part of the Maine coast where windjammers used to come through on their way to Rockland. It's pretty famous in the annals of marine history, this section. The keeper at Owl's Head one year described like 500 sail seen in one day.
Are we gonna miss that ledge?
I think so. She draws a lot more than the dory, though. We should be able to tell when we get up to it.
All right. So the old timers would have known where every ledge was.
Well, they lived on these islands.
Yeah.
Fished them and...
Harvesting.
Yep.
They would have thought nothing of this, and when I told all my friends that I was doing this, they thought it was quite quite a feat, quite a quest to go to those offshore islands.
Well, these are like pickup trucks.
These little boats are like the pickup trucks for the fishermen.
Yep.
That's back in the days when they pretty much hauled everything as far as trade goods and stuff by. Those were all working boats.
Well, they were. And you consider this coast is just a bunch of long fingers sticking down into the Gulf of Maine. A whole lot faster to get around by boat than it was by horse and carriage or anything else, even automobiles today in some sense.
Look how clear it is.
Yeah, and I'm going to come up to some of the urchins that are probably around in here. Looks to be a bit of a ledge. You see where the current's flattening out there? Let's see if we can find them in here. Yeah, here we go. Oh, look at that.
The water's so clear here. I guess that means it hasn't rained much, huh? Not much runoff.
Look, oh, here's some kelp.
The beautiful bronze algae.
Yeah.
John, you're new to this boat, but I'm finding you handling those oars pretty well. Where did you learn to row? Where did you start?
When did I start rowing?
Yep.
Oh, I'm a little embarrassed to say, actually. Goes way back. It's probably like, what, I don't know, 8, 9 years old.
Okay.
And the boat we had was not one that we actually owned. We sort of borrowed it from a guy, I think his name was Mr. McGregor.
Uh-huh.
And he didn't like the idea of us borrowing his boat, so we had to be very careful about it, make sure it was always put back in exactly the right place with the oars, the right ends in the right places. But it was great. Sometimes we'd even, Mr. McGregor would try and outsmart us and not leave the oars out there if he knew we were using it a lot.
Okay.
So we'd sort of grab like a 2x4 and quickly try and craft a oar out of it. And we weren't very fussy about the equipment back then.
As the afternoon sea breeze picks up, we pull into the lee of a little island to set up our sail rigs. Sam hoists a radar reflector so larger boats can spot us in case the fog rolls in. Annie bails while Susan gets the sail rig ready to go.
Susan, how you doing there?
Good.
Tide's coming in pretty quick, isn't it?
When the fishing's
Got over
best.
your boots there, aren't you?
Yeah. You ready to go pretty quick?
Yeah, we can go right now, actually.
Right, ready, Sam?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see, this set is an easterly set. So, once we get by here, we can set sail too.
This thing holds some air, I'll tell you.
That does.
How much sail area you have up there?
100 square feet. It's a small sail, really, so far as the length of the boat is concerned, but this boat has no ballast keel and no weight to keep her upright. So you can't have a big sail that you can't control.
Well, they definitely need a light out here with all these ledges.
Yes.
This is Two Bush Light?
Yeah.
I bet that place has seen a lot of wrecks.
Early sailors were warned to keep the island a pistol shot off the port bow to avoid the ledges, but that wasn't always possible. In 1894, an unfortunate fishing schooner, the Clarabella, was caught in a vicious gale and smashed into the ledges off Two Bush Island. Luckily, help was nearby.
So they were out, floundering around in the fog, and the keeper's dog heard the commotion and started barking, and so they knew they could row to the sound of the dog.
Barking dog navigation.
Yeah,
what do you know?
barking dog navigation.
You see any land yet up ahead?
Yes, it's right in that direction there. It's over the starboard bow. I'm looking at it. It looks probably Little Green Island, and we're getting swept down from it, but possibly the tide will moderate before we get too far along.
The wind dies as we near a small island halfway across. It's clear that we'll have to spend the night right here.
We can't go ashore because this place is privately owned and well known as an unfriendly island.
It's getting kind of late to go on to Matinicus.
Yes,
So we're going to cook up our pea soup right here in the
Well,
boat?
I think we should. Sun's
right.
going down. And we don't really want to be rowing all night. I think we'll pick up that wooden one right there.
Right out there.
Yep, and we'll, you raft up to us, please.
Okay.
The wind started howling around midnight, and no one got much sleep in those madly bobbing boats.
At daybreak, we found shelter in the lee of the island and anchored while we figured out what to do next. Naturally, Sam had a plan.
John, yesterday we came over from over here to Large Green Island. It was about 4.5 miles. And today we've laid off this south beach waiting for better air. I don't know whether we can lay Creehaven or not with this boat and the Peapod, but we're going to try.
The Camden Hills today.
Aren't they pretty?
Quite the view.
Yeah.
So that would have been quite a landmark for those guys coming in off Matinicus or Creehaven
Yep.
in a little sort of leaking boat like this. Pretty committing. I mean, just the taste of the weather last night.
Well, that was
Good
something
reminder.
that you took for granted.
That you just would wait for the right weather and then do it.
If you, yeah, and expect to be caught out too. No, it's not quite
A
that
few
easy.
hours later, the seas finally calmed down, and we began the big crossing to
Yep, we have to
Creehaven.
drop it. Okay, just cast it off, John.
Just toss it over. Thanks, John.
Okay.
Farewell. If you have to get on the rail, get on the rail.
Okay.
This is tricky.
I don't mind.
Good. Oh, that's right. You don't mind, do you? Oh, oh. There's seals. They're spy hopping at us.
Look at that.
What a neat spot. Wow.
Oh, look at that big one there. Yeah, he's huge. He looks like he's almost got barnacles growing on him.
Yes.
They are so big. Are there lots of fish on those in the rough water there? Is that
Yeah, it stirs up nutrients. They come in to feed.
Sometimes you don't know whether it's a seal or whether it's a boulder there.
Yeah.
Look at that. Whoa. That's it.
That's Matinicus?
Well, you got the chart. Tell me. It isn't Portugal.
No, Creehaven is just the name of the harbor. It's not the name of the island.
Okay, bring her up a little more. Side slipping any more than we are. She likes the starboard tack a lot better. I think we ought to do a bunch of short tacks, don't you?
Mostly because it's more fun.
All right. The current's against us. We gotta get in. We're both pooped.
Not moving. It's not moving up and down. I like this already.
Feels good to be on land.
Yeah. For anything.
Hi there.
How you doing?
All right.
Hello.
I've been watching you row in the harbor.
Oh,
Thought
yeah?
we'd come out and
Oh, you're the
see what was going on.
You're the welcoming crew.
Committee
Well,
here.
no, we're always happy to see people here.
Hi, Annie Getchell. Hi,
Buzzy
Camden.
Kinney, nice to meet you. This is my stern man, Jared Long.
Hi, Jared.
Nice to meet you, Annie.
Hi, Buzzy. I'm John. Nice to meet you,
Nice
John
to meet
Beeman.
you.
This is
Jared.
my captain,
Sam.
Susan.
Sam, nice to meet you.
My wife, Susan.
Which one of you did all the rowing?
This one did.
I made her do it.
You did. How
Susan.
far'd you row today?
Well, we came from Green Island.
Large Green.
Large Green.
Yeah.
Big Green Hour.
That's right.
That's what, 7 or 8 nautical miles?
I think so. Feels like it anyway.
Yeah.
More than that, really, if you've done a whole day of it.
So we have an invitation to stay up in the big field on the east
Oh,
end.
way down at the eastern end
Yeah.
where the fallen down house is?
Right.
Well, that used to belong to Scott Simpson when he was, I think, in his teenage years. He was duck hunting, and he had a hammer shotgun. I think it was either a 10 or a 12 gauge, and he was crawling up by a rock. And of course, the hammer went off, and it blew his arm off.
Oh.
And when they got to him, I don't know how he got down here or anything, but they rolled him up in some wool blankets and put him in a barrel, and they took him to Rockland, and he used to go lobstering in the Peapod
No kidding.
by hand, one hand,
By
and
one hand.
one hand and 1 foot. Pull the rope up and step on it and hold it and keep coming up that way and keep putting his foot on the rope. And that's what I can remember by him. And then, because when he died, he had a real nice place up there, and I've seen some real old pictures of it. And after he passed away, his wooden arm was left swinging in the house. And, you know, it was a real eerie feeling. Even though nobody had lived there for years, there was his wooden arm swinging in there.
Well, it's a friendly island, you know. There's somebody waving to you every place you go.
Thanks.
Right, well, we're really glad you're here.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you,
have a
Buzzy.
good night.
Bye, Jared.
Oh, check those out, huh?
Or smell them on the warm breeze.
Yeah.
Matinicus Rock is out there somewhere.
This keeps getting better. Where's that my stomach?
It means having a seat and a cup of tea. Ah. I'm so excited to go to Matinicus Rock. I know like right now I can't imagine getting in the boat and being wet.
Yeah.
After last night. Dry feels
Yeah. It's not moving underneath us. And, you know, you can actually recline and be comfortable and
but, you know,
dry.
Going to Matinicus Rock and seeing the birds.
Yeah, I've never seen puffins in the wild. That'll be something, huh?
Well, just seeing the Arctic terns dancing today as we came across in the beautiful light.
Yeah.
All those kinds of birds you just don't see on the mainland. You really have to go offshore to see seabirds and diving birds, where they live and how they flock and what they feed on.
Yep. You know.
They all come back to the island they were born at.
No.
They compete.
Seriously?
For the same, yeah, they do. They compete. And as a matter of fact, puffins mate. They have the same mate for life, but you know, when they're done nesting, they split, and they might not follow the same current. You know, they'll be gone all year, and they'll come back to their island and find their mate again. You know, all those thousands of birds. My favorite kind of day. A heavy morning mist delayed our departure from Matinicus Rock. No one minded being fogged in, because it gave us a chance to poke around the historic remains of Creehaven Village. You guys notice the only road on the island?
Post office, but what are these bins?
What did you find in here?
Pigeonholes? people's names on them?
And that's where the pigeons would sit until they had to send the mail on?
I think so. This is marked Boston, Jamaica.
That's what pirates use, right, for their captain.
The yearbook from the Department of Agriculture, 1920.
Hey.
Pig parasites and thumps. 10-day tour through the body, from the intestine to the lungs and back again, is a strange trip taking to the... Oh boy.
Compelling writing.
Yes.
Well, this was an island community. It had to make a living. Part of it was from fishing. Part of it would have been this space and a place was appropriate for building vessels. And if you built good vessels, you could sell them elsewhere. All this probably was turn of the century onward, some before, of course. But 10,000 units of fish crates shipped from here annually is quite a bit of industry for a few people. 40 people. Middle of the last century, there were as many as 400 people around this harbor. Then it died after World War I. And I guess most of the population swept away by World War II.
When the fog started to burn off around midday, we set out for Matinicus Rock. These little ledges and islands are just chock full of birds.
What a day for watching birds, though. Yeah. Perfect. All those shags up there have always reminded me of pterodactyls with feathers. They're real prehistoric critters.
I always think of that they're like ladies going to the opera or something. Maybe I saw a cartoon of that when I was a kid. But they're always, because they dry their wings out, you know.
I wonder if there's different colonies on different islands, different ledges.
Oh, I'm sure they're quite
sort of
territorial.
like,
yeah.
You know, the Smiths live over here and the Joneses live over there.
Yeah. With all the joys and squabbles and shore life anywhere.
Oh, look at the puffins ahead of us.
Well, years ago, they used to actually come out and hunt them, you know, for hats.
For food?
Food,
Hats?
yeah. They were after the feathers, believe it or not.
At the turn of the century, Matinicus Rock was the focus of a frenzied plumage trade that provided feathers, and in some cases entire birds, to the whims of fashion in cities around the globe.
You know, if you were going to be anybody, if you were going to be seen in public, you had to have a plumed hat. And ladies would have huge hats with aigrettes, you know, the whole wings of birds. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And they were killed just for their feathers.
By 1900, with seabird populations near extinction, and with a growing environmental awareness, public outcry led to the establishment of Matinicus Rock as the very first Audubon bird sanctuary in the U.S. Today, puffins, eiders, razor-billed auks, and Arctic terns all thrive here.
Can I raise my flag? Seal is just lurking on the surface of the water, like a gator.
Here's a couple more.
Like each little baby.
wind and birds at our back, we sail on into morning.
To learn more about Anyplace Wild and the great outdoors, check out PBS online at www.pbs.org. Anyplace Wild is made possible in part by Chevy Blazer. Next time you're having fun outdoors, make sure that Mother Nature has a good day too. And by Low Alpine, technical packs and apparel. And Low Pro camera bags. And LL Bean, providing sporting gear and apparel for people who love the outdoors. For over 80 years.
This is PBS.